popular for this, but I don't know what we're quoting. I was reading the paper in a cafe Saturday morning, The Age specifically, front page and 2 double pages about underquoting. I looked like a lunatic. I was muttering under my breath like a nutter about how ridiculous this thing was. I'd be astonished if people are buying at auction for an investment.
Think of auctions as expensive entertainment. They're great for TV, the block, and all of these things. And they, just like agents can create hype at an auction, TV stations can create hype around a program and seeing what's going to happen. But fundamentally, smart investing is relatively boring. Welcome back to the latest episode of Brick to the Future. Cracking topic today, we're talking about buying at auction. Sentiment is increasing. We've had a lot of questions about this. Note to everyone, if you've got a topical thing about property that you want to know more about, send it through to hello@opencorp.com.au so that we can bring you the latest and expert insights on that topic. Joining me today, business partner and longtime friend, Al Lewison. Al, great to see you.
G'day, Boz. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited because normally I'm doing the intro and today I'm getting asked the questions. So it's a big day for me, big day.
Outstanding. Well, we'll look forward to getting your insights on this, because we know that this is a passion topic of yours. Sentiments on the way up. Everyone talks about clearance rates. I think 8 weeks in a row now we've seen Melbourne's clearance rate at 69% or above. So these the property market is heating up, and the media are only just kind of catching on. But 3 specific headlines that we've seen in the last few days. They're all talking about the same kind of thing in The Age. In Melbourne, we had the first home buyers outbid investor for 1.73 million Parkville home. The Australian Fin Review was talking about a Sydney home getting 200k above reserve, and on realestate.com.au, Melbourne auction clearance rates, I should say, surges before rate cut. That's not a surprise. We know it's always going to happen. We've seen 2 cuts already this year, but what are you seeing in terms of the current auction landscape?
Yeah, I agree. It's a good indicator of sentiment. Clearly, sort of tells you how many auctions are clearing. What it probably neglects to tell you is how many auctions have happened. Like currently there's low stock on the market, so we're probably expecting high levels of transaction because supply and demand, low vacancy rates, and our indicators are clearly that there's an undersupply housing. So there's very few listings, and the ones that are listing are selling reasonably well. In a red hot Melbourne market, which again is probably the ultimate test of sentiment, and I should say, well, Melbourne's a big auction city. Yeah. Brisbane not so much, so their auction clearance rates aren't as relevant, but certainly ours are, and if we're getting the 80s and 90s, well, things are flowing. But last weekend we had 73, I think I saw, and that was off a low base of 800 auctions or something like that. So not a lot coming into the spring season that will increase, but right now, yes, it's a positive. And what I love is that you go to a barbecue and everyone talks about it, but it's not necessarily the best indicator of what's happening in the market, because certain suburbs might outperform others. You just don't know.
You get the auction summary results on a Saturday or Sunday night, and you remember when, like, it wasn't that long ago, it didn't seem like that long ago, that it was like a super Saturday, and the metric for measuring that was 1,000 auctions. Yeah. Now it's like every week's 1,200,
that's right? Yeah, 800's low. That's right.
Yeah. So it's I guess a nod to the growth of housing, the growth of population, and supply and demand as you talk about. But as you said, auctions are a good measure of sentiment. They're not a good measure of supply and demand, because they're just how quickly existing houses are swapping hands, basically. And we never seem to hear the end of underquoting. What are your thoughts on underquoting? Because an article last week just talked about how a task force had been assigned to tackle this problem. Is it good? Is it hot air? What are your thoughts on that?
Excellent. I was reading the paper in a cafe Saturday morning, The Age specifically, front page and 2 double pages about underquoting. I looked like a lunatic. I was muttering under my breath like a nutter about how ridiculous this thing was, because I can't stand it. Like I've been saying for years, why even are they quoting a range full stop? I know that in life, in all things, the 3% of whingers, get the squeaky wheel gets oiled. Yep. I don't know who's whinging about this, but the way I look at it is, surely anybody buying a property at auction has done some research on that area, and they're not reliant on an agent saying that a house they think should be $1 million, but the agent's quoting 500 is going to be 500. Like, if you know the area, you surely know what you think it will sell for. You don't need somebody else to tell you. So I can't understand why you turn up and go, oh, I thought I was going to get a good deal and they've lied to me and it sold for more than they've quoted. How's it a shock to people? I've bought an auction before, researched the suburb, researched the area, knew the street, knew the houses, knew everything about it to know what I thought it should sell for and pick myself my maximum range I'd bid. So when people walk around saying, oh, it's not fair because I had my heart broken, I thought I'd get it for a steal. Come on, like, surely.
I think it's because, like, I'm always amazed. You know, we talk about the amount of due diligence you do into something. If you're going to buy a car, I know people that have bought houses on a fraction of the research that they've put into buying a car.
Yeah.
Backwards logic, right?
Absolute backwards logic.
Why would you do 5 times the amount of research for something worth, let's say, 40 grand or 50 grand as what you would something worth 800 or $1 million?
How many people do you know that would be walking the kids to the park? Oh, there's an auction here.
Yeah.
Oh, the agent's quoting this. I should buy it.
I had such a good holiday down in Sorrento. This house is for sale. I'll buy it.
It just doesn't happen. Like, you have to know what something in the area is worth, which I'll come back to. I don't even know why they're quoting a range. You should just know inherently what it should be selling for. So for people to get aggressive and upset and 5 pages in a Melbourne paper to write about underquoting's rife, I won't be popular for this, but I don't even know what we're quoting.
Is it because people are time poor and they feel that they should be told, give me some goalposts so I know whether or not I'm wasting my time?
So I'll ask
and
you,
because people are inherently lazy, they go, well, I need to be told the answer rather than I'll do the research. Like
I'm not sure if it's just misguided hope. Like, you see a property advertised for 1 million to 1.1. In your head, you go, I think it should be 1.5, so I'm going to quickly go and buy it. If you know it's worth 1.5, it's going to be worth 1.5. So I'm just not sure if people are going there on hope, going, oh, maybe I'm missing something or everyone else is missing something and I'll get a steal and my heart's broken. But what we're really writing the paper about is my heart was broken. I thought I was going to buy it and I missed out.
Yeah.
That's what we're writing about.
It's my God-given right to own a house and I want to own it in this area, and because it went for more than what I can pay, justice hasn't been done.
So is it people wasting their time? Like, they go, oh, well, I really believe the range quoted, so I turned up to auction and I wasted my time because I would have gone to an auction that was in a different range, or what is
possibly, it? Like we talk to a lot of people that come to us because they're after some help because they've gone to, multiple auctions every Saturday for 6 weeks, haven't got anything, and feel that there's a disconnect between either what they're looking at and their borrowing capacity and their expectations, or they can't find the right property within their borrowing capacity range. They're the 2 things that we hear the most. But
yeah, and you're right, you do hear that. So and there's a time to buy at auction, absolutely. And I've bought at auction, I've missed out at auction. But every time I've gone to the auction, I've had a ceiling on what I'm prepared to bid, and I'll bid to that or not bid in some instances. If the bidding's exceeded or too quickly achieving the number I had, I'll walk away.
Yeah.
So there are a time and a place for it. But in terms of what our clients look for in investment properties, I'd be astonished if people are buying at auction for an investment.
Well, fundamentally, investing is about buying for value, right? And maximising your uplift. So it doesn't make any sense to be the person who's prepared to pay the most.
No.
Yeah, like if I'll frame it another way for our listeners. So let's say that there are 3 service stations in your suburb, one selling petrol for $1.60, one's at $1.80 and one's at $2. Who in their right mind, you ask that question, where would you go? Everyone says to the $1.60.
Yes.
If you're buying at auction and you are the winning bidder, even more so if it's over reserve, you've just paid $2 a litre.
What an amazing analogy. You're so good at these.
Try to keep it simple for people.
Did you have that before we sat down?
No.
That is amazing. That's a gift. You've got a gift there.
Glad you liked it. But yeah, like, is there anything that you'd add to that around, like, you're effectively prepared to spend more, overpay is another way to think about it, compared to everyone else there if you are winning at auction?
That's right. So if you've got a different vision for the property, maybe you think you can renovate it and get more rent, renovate it and have a tenant for 5 years and sell it and make something else. Your vision's different than everyone else's. Maybe you do that. I'm just trying to think of reasons that you would outpay for an investment property, but your rent's going to be your rent. People rent bedrooms.
Yeah.
So if it's a 4-bedroom house and you pay $1.60, or it's a 4-bedroom house, pay $2, for the petrol analogy, you're getting the same rent. So you're just getting a much worse investment. They should arguably grow by the same amount. As I said, the only reason I'd see you pay more for an investment would be your vision, that you see something others don't, value add, but that's not the crux of investing in property anyway.
Yeah. So let's get into solution mode. So if there's a a minuscule number of reasons why buying at auction makes sense, all things considered. If auction's not the way to go, what is the best way to do it?
To buy an
investment
property.
Yeah. How do you buy well without getting caught in a bidding war on competition?
Yeah, I mean, if I use some key metrics that I look at, it's median price for an area, city and area.
Yep.
I look at the optimum size of quality. There's a whole checklist of a range of things, but ultimately you want to be buying below the median where that you can see that you'll get uplift because your valuation in the future is allowing you to borrow more money. And the best way to do that is to not be an outlier in the market, bottom or top, but to be under the median, but close to the median. I mean, you know, backwards, you talk about every day. So what are the others that you think in there?
Well, I think you mentioned optimum size and quality there in a range of points. Let's just touch on that for a second. So for those listening that aren't aware of what we mean by optimum size and quality, it basically means what is the optimum floor plan, house design, property design for a particular suburb for a demographic at a price point. Right. Now, that will vary depending on the area. Like if you're in Toorak in Melbourne and you have a 150 square metre 3-bedroom house, probably not a fit for the demographic.
Correct.
That's not optimal, right? Likewise, if you have a I don't know, what's a massive house? If you have a 75 square 2-story mansion in
outer suburbs, or
right, in a growth ring suburb, that's not going to be a fit either, right? But getting into the nitty gritty, optimum size and quality is effectively how you can maximise the ROI on a property. So how you can get as much rent and as many tax benefits for as little out of your own pocket as possible. And that doesn't mean, not to be confused with small and boxy or cheap and nasty, far from it, because it's got to appeal to a tenant and it's got to be in a desirable area and it's got to be fit for purpose. It just means it's efficient as opposed to how most properties are sold, which is based on emotion, you know, and builders love giving you set floor plans to choose from because that's how they make their margin, economies of scale, and they have a lot of wasted square meterage built in, which lifts the price up, doesn't bring in any more rent.
Yeah, and probably an extension of that, I hear you say it a lot, life is for living, and the optimum size and quality fits into that because the optimum rents come with it. And do you want to explain what life is for living means to you in terms of people controlling their cash flow?
Yeah, well, it's twofold. On an individual property basis, life is for living is hold as much asset as you can for as little money out of your own pocket as possible. You know, if you can have a 4-bedroom house in suburb X and an optimum size and quality one costs you $150 a week out of your pocket, an emotionally based purchase costs you $400 a week out of your pocket, the first one gives you a much better lifestyle, much less impact on your cash flow. Okay. From a portfolio perspective, I think this is the area where people miss the point, is you don't have to love what you're investing in. And if you buy smart, then for the same amount of cash flow, you could hold 2 or 3 well-chosen investments for the same cash flow as one expensive investment. And when you look at diversification, you can have exposure to multiple areas with multiple properties, multiple tenants to reduce your risk, all of these other benefits. You're effectively able to turbocharge your compound growth result for the same money out of your pocket.
So that's if we bring it back to the auction stuff that we talked about, I don't think you can achieve that at auction, can you?
Unless no one else turned up, unless you got lucky with no one else turning up for an ideal property priced at a price the vendor was willing to accept in the suburb where you wanted to be. That's about the only time you could do it.
We probably should have talked about it, but if I think motivations, the agent's motivation, he thinks he can get the best price for that property by auctioning it.
Yep.
He thinks he can draw competition, people that bid each other, get more than maybe it's worth. In different market cycles, they don't auction property because they know no one's going to turn up, like you just said, and suddenly there's no one bidding, so there's no competitive tension, and you don't get a better price. So when there's auctions, I think the warning bell should be going off that this isn't the right time for me to buy this investment property competing with everyone else doing it.
Yeah.
It's time to look in a different market or a different property type, I'd say.
Spot on. Yeah. So I think, you know, in summary, think of auctions as expensive entertainment. They're great for TV, the block, and all of these things. And they, you know, just like agents can create hype at an auction, TV stations can create hype around a program and seeing what's going to happen. But fundamentally, smart investing is relatively boring. You know,
like watching grass grow is the saying we use.
Lather, rinse, repeat. You know, follow a stable and set process. You don't have to love the process and get excited about it. get excited about the end result is far more important.
Spot on. That's great.
Yeah. So there you have it, folks. Auctions, expensive entertainment, can make for great TV, can make for expensive mistakes. Stay true to your path, buy smart, and try and do it without the competition to get that optimum size and quality property that you need.